Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars figure review. Today we're going to take a look at some more characters from Star Wars The Force Awakens, and in this review I want to give you a look at a figure from the Disney Store exclusive range of Elite Series diecast figures. Today we are going to take a look, and spoilers inbound guys, so if you haven't seen The Force Awakens I do suggest you turn this video off now, but we are going to take a look at none other than the villain of Star Wars The Force Awakens, and that is none other than this guy, the sinister yet conflicted Kylo Ren. This is an awesome figure, and as you can see it does depict Kylo Ren without his mask. This is a really cool figure, as I said. Really happy to have added this one to the collection, and I can't wait to share it with you in more detail in just a moment. Before I do that, as always, there is a link down below in the video description which will take you to the Disney Store where you can pick this guy up if you want to add him to your own collection. And before we get onto the figure, we are going to run through the packaging that he comes in. Now once again, we do have the really nice and premium feel to the Elite Series diecast packaging. As you can see, you've got the Elite Series logo down at the bottom there with this really nice metallic red trim. The diecast sticker just on the box window there, as well as the character name at the bottom. At the top of the box we have the Disney Store exclusive logo, and on the back a brief description about the Elite Series itself, as well as the character just below. So there we go, that is the packaging for Kylo Ren Unmasked. And like with most of these Elite Series diecast action figures, Kylo Ren does come with a display stand. So I'll just give you a quick look at that before we get on to the figure. As you can see, you've got the Star Wars logo across the front with the peg for the figure to stand. Now obviously, because these figures are made from diecast metal, they do tend to have a fair bit of weight to them, and these display stands are a really nice inclusion, as obviously without them the figures do tend to fall over and lean forward and all that sort of good stuff. So it's really nice to have the display stands, but it's even nicer to have this figure. So let's take a look at him. As I said, this does of course depict Kylo Ren without his mask on. He does spend a decent portion of the film without his helmet on. Obviously he first reveals his face to Rey during the interrogation scene. Later on in the film he does take off the helmet during the confrontation with Han Solo, and then again later on we do see Kylo without the helmet during the duel with Finn and Rey on Starkiller Base. What I really like about this one is the fact that Disney have absolutely captured the likeness to the actor Adam Driver really well. This is a fantastic head sculpt, really well done and really nicely painted. If there's anything to take away from this Elite Series diecast range of figures, it's that Hasbro could learn a thing or two with regards to their sculpt and paint apps. Like with some of the other human portraits in the Elite Series line, the figure does have a very clean, very crisp, almost porcelain doll finish to the head, but it looks fantastic and I'm not going to complain about that too much at all. It's a really nice feel and a really nice look. As you can see, once again, Disney have captured the likeness really well, even down to the details in the, as quoted online, perfect hair that Kylo Ren has. Again, many people have made the joke that as soon as Kylo takes off the helmet, his hair is absolutely flawless, not a hair out of place, and that translates really well to this figure. And again, the sculpt is phenomenal, really well done on the part of Disney. As for the rest of the figure, it is exactly the same as the previous Elite Series figure of Kylo Ren that's been released. If you haven't checked out my review on that figure, then it should pop up on screen as I mention it. So again, click that link up there and give that a watch and you'll see the similarities between the two figures. As I said, this one is essentially the same as the first release, just with the inclusion of the new head. And of course we have got a few other slight modifications as well, such as the fact that the hand that grips the lightsaber is actually a lot tighter on this version. You may remember from my previous review that the hand on the masked version of Kylo Ren was actually quite loose, and I actually had to use a clear elastic band to keep the lightsaber in place. That's not an issue with this figure. As you can see, he does hold the lightsaber really well, and the weapon itself has a really nice look to it. Just give you a closer look at that. As you can see, there is some great detail in the hilt and you've got a very subtle fiery texture going on in the blade itself. It's very, very cool indeed. As I said, the rest of the figure is exactly the same though, even down to the pose. You've got the spread hand on one side, which obviously either indicates force use, or of course you can recreate the scene from the movie where Kylo Ren interrogates Rey during that very cool scene in the film. As you can see, he does come with his cape, or mini cape I guess you could call it, only reaches halfway down his back. But again, some great detail going on in that. Tears, rips and creases, all that good stuff, which looks fantastic. Obviously this has been completely revamped, as it were, as the previous version had the hood lifted to cover up the helmet. This one has the hood down and sculpted to the rest of the cape. With it being a die-cast figure, the majority of this guy is made from die-cast metal. The head, torso, arms and legs are all die-cast metal, but obviously the robes are a softer plastic, as you can see. They're made of this sort of rubbery textured material, which does allow a little bit of freedom in terms of the posability, so that's always a good thing. But again, due to the die-cast nature of these figures, they do have a fair bit of weight to them. Also, for those of you that may be wondering, these are not the same scale as the Hasbro Black Series figures. These guys actually stand at around 7.5 inches tall, whereas the Black Series figures stand at 6 inches. So they are a little bit bigger. Figures such as Captain Phasma, I dare say, wouldn't look out of place, as she's absolutely huge in the film anyway. But like Kylo Ren and Finn and Rey and some of the other characters are just a little bit taller than their Black Series counterparts. So that's just one thing to be aware of when purchasing these figures. In terms of articulation, these guys are nicely articulated, but do suffer somewhat in the posability department, at least compared to the Black Series figures. They're a little bit more simplistic in terms of articulation. We do have a ball joint at the head, hinges at the shoulders and elbows, swivels at the wrists, a swivel at the waist, ball hinges at the hips, hinges at the knees and hinges at the ankles. Again, you can get these figures in some really cool poses, but they don't have some of the double joints and hinged wrists and all that sort of stuff that the Black Series figures have from Hasbro. Value for money wise though, I think these are a great alternative to the Black Series line. These figures retail for £18.95 here in the UK, which is a few pounds cheaper than a Black Series 6-inch figure, and for me personally, quality and overall presentation is on par and in some cases better than the Black Series 6-inch line. So, I can't really commit to this line because some of the characters and some of the figures that I already have in the Black Series 6-inch line aren't different enough to warrant a second purchase, and I don't really want to get into collecting a second line or a third line if you count the 3 3/4 inch line, just because we don't really need that many action figures in our collections. But I'm willing to make the odd exception, especially for figures as cool as this one, and I highly recommend you pick this guy up. He looks absolutely fantastic, great paint job, great detail, and again, it's really cool to have a figure of Kylo Ren Unmasked in the collection. Very surprised that Hasbro haven't revealed their Black Series 6-inch version of this guy yet, but I do understand that there is a 3 3/4 inch release on the way very soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this figure, and I'll be back to give you a look at another variation of Kylo Ren in my next review. We're undergoing a little bit of a Kylo Ren marathon here on the Sith Lord 229 channel. In my last review I gave you a look at the Armour Up Kylo Ren, and as I said, coming up next I'm going to give you a look at another version of the character. So stay tuned for that, and again, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I'll be back very, very soon. So until then, as always, thank you for watching, keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.